December the 2nd, 2025, Vincenzo's Gold Crypto Investing. And you can see the stock market is back up. The crypto market is having a beautiful recovery today after an extended down period, and it needed a much needed bounce back. And you can see we're attempting after yesterday's big fall, where it gave away all of the late week gains and over the weekend and came tumbling down 8.70%. It did bounce off to 85,000. And now what it's trying to do is in the daily time frame here with the Bitcoin price is try to bounce up near this 50-day moving average that is just below the 50-day moving average in the weekly time frame. And that's where you're going to try to go to now. Either A, you're going to swing around here and there could be some volatile moves, and then you break out to the upside and try to get up near here, as that's your major overhead resistance, the 50 in the daily at 99,200 and the 50 in the weekly at 100,700. Or you're going to stagnate out around here and you're going to end up back here on the 100-day moving average, and that would be a very, very bad signal. If you end up back for a third time on this 100-day moving average, unfortunately, that's signaling that somehow, whether it does it like this, it's going to end up down there, right? So this is very critical over the next week, week and a half, even few days to see exactly what happens here off this most recent bounce. Is this going to give it all back? And if it does, and though Vincenzo's warning you here with the technicals, if it comes back down to the 100-day moving average in the weekly time frame, held once, held twice, will not hold a third time, and the price would come tumbling down to $66,178, an area nobody thinks it can come to, because that's an additional 22% from the 100-day moving average, and that would be below Michael Saller's uh, average cost. And as I read to you yesterday, he's stockpiling cash. Now, he sold some of his preferred stock, not to buy Bitcoin, but to stockpile cash, something he's told all of you for years is garbage. Well, if it's garbage, why is he stockpiling it? And he initially wants to have 6 months cash reserve and then up it to 12 to 24 months. So up to a 2 year cash supply. Why? Because cash is what he's going to need. He's going to need liquidity, free flowing liquidity. And that's a big, big problem, I think, coming up. And that's Peter Schiff has been highlighting this for years. Old Vincenzo has been harping at it for a long time, that this could come cascading down on itself, not just from micro strategies. That's just the one you guys all know of, and it's the mainstream and the first mover of this. But these hundreds and probably thousands around the world, companies that did this same thing, but most of them did it with Ethereum and Bitcoin, but they did them with Bitcoin over 100,000, Ethereum north of 3,500, right? They just started doing it. So it could be a cascading feedback on itself, and you can see Ethereum's coming up to that major upper resistance at 3,052, the bottom part of that green trading zone. And what's going to happen here is either A, you're going to get back into this green trading zone after some trading the next day or two, and you're going to make a run up here to this upper resistance, which is the 50-day moving average at 38.81. Or after some jockeying and positioning here, you're going to get rejected and you're going to trade your way down in whatever kind of fashion it wants. And you're going to end up down here on that underneath target at 24.75. And if it does that, that brings an even deeper low down here at 17.98. So this is very critical in the Ethereum price also to get back into this green support and resistance box, because that's the area you need to be in order to try to get some buyers and try to stabilize the price and stop the bleeding and falling, right? Because you don't want these to get much farther, because there could be a lot of forced selling if the price in Ethereum and Bitcoin is sustained down, especially Bitcoin below 70 and Ethereum below 2, right? 2K. You can see the XLM, same thing. It bounced off of the 200-day moving average in the weekly right there beautifully the other day. Then it came straight up to the 26 cents, which is the 100-day moving average. And like you would expect it, most times it got rejected there, three separate daily time frame candles. Then it gave away about 90% of the move. And then you can see now it's starting to rebound right here, and that's what you would expect also. And now what the critical thing is going to be, as we zoom into the 4 hourly, you can see that's the most recent move, is does this break this 100-day moving average over top, because if it does, you'll shoot straight up to the 50-day in the daily, right? And that's a big move. But there's also the possibility that as you come back up into here, you get rejected and you roll over on itself, and then you end up back on the 200-day moving average, not where you want to be in the weekly time frame. But to get bullish, you get back above the 100-day, hold it, and then start taking out some moving averages. Get up near the 50-day in the daily right there at 28 cents. Even if you got a slight rejection, sort of like that, then you restabilize the price, push above it, and then use that as support, and then try to take out the 50-day in the weekly time frame. But it all starts with getting over the 26 cents and holding it in the daily, and then building a small base there, right? Or you're gonna not be able to do that, and you're gonna have a quick reversal up here, and then you're going to end up back on the 200-day moving average for a double bottom in the weekly, maybe trade up like a snail right now. And then you're going to end up coming down here and breaching that and breaking that to the 18 cents. So that's something that we're watching out for in the XLM. The XRP is the same thing. You can see in the daily time frame, you did bounce off exactly beautifully like XLM on the 100-day moving average in the weekly time frame. And now what we're looking to do is get up and fight our way up here to the 50-day moving average in the weekly time frame and try to break that and build the base and hold that and try to use this as new support to try to take out some of these major overhead resistances, which is the 100-day and the 200-day in the daily, as well as that horizontal $2.55 level, right? And you can see that level has been major resistance for quite some time, ever since uh, back in the early fall when we had the great flush that everybody on that wick thought that was it. And they all went in, baby. They all went in, and they went in big because they thought there was going to be a November to remember leading into a holiday extravaganza, right? And a year-end clearance. Well, they were right. There was a year-end clearance, but so far it's been to the downside. But that's what you need to break if you want to continue to get bullish and stop this downturn. Because if you don't stop the downturn and you end up back at the $1.84, that brings the $1.36 in the plane. Nobody wants to see that. And then potentially much lower. So that's what we're looking at in the short term. But you can see in the medium term, ever since we tagged that 366, we've been bearish for the last 4.5 months. So eventually this is going to break out to the upside, or we're going to have a capitulation to the downside first. And we're going to continue to track all this in real time for you, the beautiful audience. You can see AMP is probably going to be going down to the 0.00140. But now that the coins were pumping today, this could be a spot near this wick bottom where I could actually see a ferocious pump where you would get all the way back up into the 0.00315, which is a major upper resistance because it was a major lower support for 2 years. And you can see locally now it got rejected because it's flipped from support that it was bouncing on for years to resistance. And it's going to be very critical that we get over top of that at some point. Yeah, but I still believe 2026, along with the DGB, as we work our way through by the end of the year, these two will be the best performing coins of 2026 from start to finish. I think it's DGB and AMP. But right now, in the DGB, we're all the way down here at the 0.00559. What we're looking to do here is hold this and make another run back up here to this major upper resistance. If not, we're going into price discovery, and price discovery would probably lead us down to here because that is an old support line from way back in the price action. And this would be a major support level if you do breach that to new all-time lows, right? Got to time check this. I'm going to let you go here. We'll take a look at some quick news if there was anything of note, but then I'm going to have to let you go. 17 dividend bearing stocks. The American Bitcoin stock tumbles 50% as BTC proxy trade unravels. Shares of American Bitcoin Corp, ABTC, the Bitcoin mining and treasury company, hedged by Eric Trump, pledged on Tuesday as difficult difficult market conditions continue to pressure crypto-linked equities. ABTC, which debuted on the Nasdaq early in September following reserve margin with uh, Gryphon Digital Mining, lost more than half of its value in early trading. The stock reached an intraday low of $1.75, representing a 51% decline on the day, according to data. Wow, on the day. Shit. That's a big fall. The shares are now down 78%. That might be some local capitulation, though, from their posted listed high of 931 on September 9th. Uh, September 9th, underscoring the broad underlining access to digital asset sector and its spillover into related equities. While no single catalyst appeared to drive Tuesday's steep sell-off, crypto-linked stocks have faced renewed volatility. And this is one of the reasons you don't put money in here for the long term, or money that you're intending to grow long term in an investment into some of these, most of these coins that are can do this. They can go down 50% in one day on the open. And this is in the NASDAQ. This isn't just in the crypto sphere. This is on the NASDAQ. 58% in a day and 78% since. But that could be maybe a local capitulation. American Bitcoin business is closely tied to the price of Bitcoin, which has experienced one of the sharpest pullbacks in history since mid-October, falling from a peak of 126,000 to a November low of below 80. Scaramucci family invested over 100 million in Trump's Bitcoin mining firm report. Well, I hope he likes the haircut. The crypto market downturn has triggered a widespread repricing of crypto exposure equities, particularly among mining and companies that hold large Bitcoin treasuries. Just like old Vincenzo's been talking about, the quasi Bitcoin treasuries, when they start to be forced liquidating, if that happens and the price continues down, they will be forced to sell to pay off margin or to pay off losses, which forces you to sell more Bitcoin into the open market, which drives the price down even quicker, right? So it's going to be very interesting. We'll track this and see if the bottom is in or if the bottom is far from in. Stick with the gold standard. Peace and love.